Hello, everyone. Kanisha Grayson, founder and CEO of The Art of Applying here. I am back with someone that you probably already know from the hit Submit series. It's our client, Anthony. Back when we first spoke to him, he had just submitted applications to more than a dozen schools across 3 or more different degrees. And now he's back to share his amazing results and his whole story, his encouragement and insights with all of you. I'm so excited about this conversation. Hi, Anthony.
Hi, and hi, everybody that's listening.
Yes. Okay. So, what are we celebrating today? Please tell us your results, your schools accepted to, and your scholarships received. And I know you may need a glass of water and to take a deep breath halfway through because there's so many, but take your time and just share all of it, all of it, all of it.
Sure. So we're celebrating 10 acceptances and 4 waitlists. Mm-hmm. And so I'll read through the list.
Okay, let's do the wait list first so that people aren't eagerly waiting, aren't like, oh goodness, which ones were those? And then do the acceptances if that's okay.
Okay, that works. So I was waitlisted at 4 schools. I was waitlisted at Yale School of Management for the MBA program. I was waitlisted at Sloan, at MIT's School of Business for the MBA. I waitlisted at Ross, at Michigan for the MBA, and I was also waitlisted at INSEAD.
Okay, so before we move on to the acceptances, Anthony, I remember those were a lot of the results you were getting in the very beginning. So before you share all the acceptances, let's just pause there and you share about what that felt to apply to so many schools and for a lot or all of your initial results to be those wait lists.
Yes, my first result was a rejection from HBS.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was, HBS is always the first one to release results in the fall. So that was like a really disappointing experience to hear the first result back, not even being an interview. And then I was rejected from Stanford, and then I started getting waitlists. I was first waitlisted at INSEAD, and then I got waitlisted the next week at Ross. And I was feeling really disappointed because I had essentially been working for 9 months straight on my essays and my test score and all the stuff that I can get into later. But I had just been putting in all this work. And then I remember I reached out to you, Kanisha. I was like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why I haven't even gotten none of my interviews have produced anything yet. And she was like, and Kanisha was like, just stick in there. The results, the positive results are going to be on the tail end. And that was totally right. Because it seemed like every result after my Ross waitlist was like an acceptance. So I guess just like a testament to you never know where things are going to wind up, even though in the beginning they can be really negative. They can seem really negative. Just stick it through to the end and see what happens.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that, Anthony. I'm going to weigh in on why I think you were waitlisted at Yale, Ross, what INSEAD, and what was the other one?
Sloan.
And Sloan. So what I'm about to say does not apply to Sloan, but for Yale, Ross, and INSEAD, it's actually one of my 7 strategies to multiple Ivy League grad school acceptances. You may have watched that presentation, or maybe you haven't, but I have basically 7 secrets that I really believe are the key to understanding getting into these top schools when you are not the cookie cutter perfect applicant, even though you are pretty close to perfect. And one of those secrets that applies here is that aiming high makes it easier to apply and get in. So schools that are in that middle area, middle top, so schools that are around that kind of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 area that are trying to climb their way up the rankings, that are trying to cling to their spot, they take, in my opinion, or they have less room to take risks on people. And why are you a risk? Two reasons. One is they're just looking on paper and they're like, this person is so outstanding that they may not come here if admitted. And we don't want to mess up our yield numbers by admitting him outright if we don't think he's going to come here. I don't think that's what was happening with MIT. But the other one would be, oh, there's something in his profile that's just not quite where we want to see it. And like, we have to jealously guard our spot at number 9, and something in his profile, if added to the class, might knock us down to number 10, 11, or 12. And we just can't take the risk. Whereas the highest ranked schools, yes, they are the absolute hardest to get into. However, they also have a lot more flexibility to accept a few wild cards because they don't care what the rankings say. They don't care if they're 1, 2, or 3 in the rankings. They know that they're a top school no matter what. And so I think that is what I think happened, because I remember we were incredulous, indignant, appalled that you were waitlisted at Michigan, right? But I think that's what was happening there. So now tell us about your dazzling acceptances and scholarships. You can say them in any order you like.
Okay, so I'll start off with my MBA acceptances. So first acceptance, and this is where I'm going to be going, is at Wharton for the dual MBA/Masters in International Relations degree. And I got an $80,000 scholarship from Wharton. Wow. And then I got accepted to CBS for the MBA. I got $80,000 as well over 2 years. And then I got into Cornell for the MBA program as well. And I got $40,000 over 2 years. I wound up being accepted to Darden, which is actually my first acceptance. Wonderful. And I got the full consortium scholarship there. And that's valued at $150,000. And I got accepted with a full scholarship as well to the Asia School of Business with the full scholarship. And that's estimated to be worth $100,000. I got accepted to UCLA Anderson School of Business with no scholarship there. And so those are my MBA acceptances.
Wow. So I bet people listening to this are like, wait a minute. How does somebody get waitlisted at Yale, waitlisted at Ross, and accepted to Wharton with an $80,000 scholarship? So that's $40,000 a year?
Yep.
Wow. What would you say? What would you say to someone who says that doesn't make any sense?
I mean, I personally didn't think it made any sense myself, like when I found out that I got accepted. But I think it goes back to what you said. Like, I kept a little bit of hope, thinking that, it's Wharton and they'll be more willing to, because they have the second largest class size after HBS, they'll be willing to take more of a risk. And they're also like always ranked pretty high. Maybe I might be one of those applicants that can, get in and be like one of the more of the wild card applicants that actually gets in and with money. And it turned out to be true.
Big time, right? But as we can see, this is no fluke, right? These schools at this point, after those first disappointing results, it became almost like a bidding war. Just schools falling all over themselves.
Yeah, I'm really shocked and I'm very happy.
I'm not shocked, but I am very happy. Wonderful. Okay, now tell us about your acceptances to the other programs.
Sure. So I got accepted to UMich for the Masters in International and Regional Studies with a $50,000 fellowship for the first year with the potential to renew it.
Okay.
I also used Art of Applying to apply to the Foreign Language and Area Studies Fellowship through Wharton, and that provided an $18,000 scholarship for the year plus a $15,000 stipend.
Wow. So you got that, and you're using that on top of your $80K fellowship from Wharton.
Yes.
Wow.
Correct. Yeah. And then I got into SIPA for the Masters in International Affairs and HKS for the Masters in Public Policy.
Oh my goodness, I'm almost just out of breath. Oh my goodness. You know what? Okay, Anthony. Probably a year or two ago, I bought the domain highdollar.scholar.com because it just sounded really good. And sir, you are a high dollar scholar.
Yeah, thank you. I'm still in shock. I'm really still in shock.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I wanted $1 Million Scholar, but somebody else had purchased the domain. I didn't even do anything with highdollar.scholar.com. Maybe one day I will. But Anthony, you are $1 Million Scholar.
Almost. If I added up, I'm almost halfway there.
Yeah. Well, add it all up. Add it all up. Oh my goodness. Well, all right, let's get to the questions. That was just the first question. That is amazing. Congratulations. So, with these amazing results, people are going to want to know as much as you're willing to share about your profile. They're going to want to know your age, your ethnicity. They're going to want to know your work experience as far as maybe your industry or company. They're going to want to know your education, where you went to college, or at least what type of college you went to, what you studied, your GPA, your test scores. They want to know everything they can to stack themselves up side by side and say, if this company helped this guy, maybe they can help me.
Yeah. Okay, sure. So that was a lot. And let me know if I missed anything.
Yes.
Okay. I was born and raised in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
I got my bachelor's from NYU 2 years ago. So I was applying with 2 years of experience. I will have 3 on matriculation. I got just under 3.5 for my degree, so not the highest. But I did take some extra classes through the Art of Applying's recommendation to sort of boost my transcript a bit. So my GRE score was a 158 for quant, 163 for verbal, and 5 on the writing. I'm an African-American male.
You've been working for 2 years. You'll have 3 by the time you matriculate. Do you work for a large company, startup, marketing, finance?
Yeah, so I work in tech, and I work at the larger companies, think Facebook, Amazon.
Okay,
Google.
so an established established tech company. Understood. Okay, wonderful. Thanks for sharing those details. So, Anthony, let us rewind to where we're recording this April 2021. Let's rewind this all the way to January 2020, before the start of the pandemic. What was the application process like before we started working together? What was hard? What wasn't working?
Yeah. So I joined Art of Applying in February, I think, last year. And I didn't really know I think the biggest thing was I didn't really know where to start with applying. For context, I had just applied to a scholarship that the fall prior to the Art of Applying, to join the Art of Applying, and I got rejected from that.
I think I know what this is, but do you feel comfortable sharing what it was, or do you?
Yeah, so it was the Schwarzman Scholars.
Right.
Program.
So that's a very competitive program. Right. One of my professors from HBS actually helped create it. I remember when it was first coming together, and he told us about it while we were still in school, and it sounded amazing. And now it's 11 years later, and it's extremely competitive. So I can imagine that was discouraging.
Yes, it was very discouraging. So I had just been coming out of that experience where I was rejected from something. And so I really wanted to make sure that when I reapplied to my MBA programs, because I'm also a reapplicant, I wanted to make sure that I was putting my best foot forward, but I just didn't know where to start. I thought I needed to focus on the test score. So I didn't really pay too much attention to the other components, like my resume and if I needed to take additional coursework. And also because I'm a reapplicant, I felt directionless. I didn't know, I guess I wasn't really fully confident that the MBA was the right degree for me. So I was looking into so many different programs. I was looking into JDs, MBAs, just general master's degrees. So I was kind of just throwing things at the wall to see what stuck in terms of like goals that I wanted to communicate, and everything was just really mixed up in my head. And so I just came to the art of applying, like not being 100% sure of the direction that I wanted to go on and like where to start.
I forgot that you were a reapplicant. Tell us about the first time you applied, where you applied to, and why you don't think things worked out.
Yes. So I applied in my senior year of college to MBA programs and regular and master's in public policy programs. And I wasn't really fully educated in what the MBA application process required and how vital work experience was beforehand. So I didn't even get any interviews. I think I submitted to 6 MBA programs. I didn't get any interviews. And then my public policy programs, I applied to SEPA and Princeton, and I didn't get into those programs either. So I really had no interviews or acceptances coming out of that.
That's a lot of rejections.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. And so how did you find the art of applying? And then when you found us, what inspired you to reach out?
So I initially heard about the art of applying when I was applying to MBA programs in 2017, but it was too late for me to join the application accelerator then, or at least too late to join and get the full value out of it.
Yes.
Because it was like right in the middle of round 2 applications, and I knew I wasn't going to start off with a consultant right away. So I just decided like it was too late for me to join. I went through the process without the application accelerator, and I didn't get any results. But this time, after I was rejected from my scholarship application the fall of 2019, I decided I wanted to reapply to grad school one more time and just make it count. So that's why I decided to reapproach the art of applying.
Oh, wonderful. Do you remember how you found us in the very, very first place back in 2017?
I think it was on Facebook.
We were very active in 2017.
Oh yeah, and it was definitely on Facebook then.
Okay, cool. We were very, very active in 2017 on Facebook. Okay, and so what was your experience like on the breakthrough call? What did you think it would be like, and then what was it actually like?
I thought it would be more of like, honestly, I thought it would be sort of more like a sales pitch. But before I came on to the call, I thought it would just be some like I just thought it would be like, oh, here are all the problems in your profile, and this is why you need us. So here's the price and join. But in reality, I felt like it was a very deep, like felt sort of like an interview. But I really appreciated the depth of the call, and I think it really forced me to reflect on what my goals were early on to the application process. And then having to loop in my mom was also helpful, I guess, in getting reassurance that like this was the right decision for me.
So, and I remember us having that breakthrough call, your mom, yourself, and myself. And I remember that very, very clearly, Anthony, actually, even though it was so long ago. What did you think when I said, I want you to bring your mom to the breakthrough call? What did you think about that? And you said you're glad you brought her. So just say more about that.
Well, truthfully, when I first heard that like she had to be here, I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be really expensive. That was my first thought. But then I also felt like, I guess I thought more about like what the benefits of it would be. I hadn't really shared that I was applying to school with anybody. I only briefly shared it with her, but not as if I was taking it super seriously. So I thought that this would be like a great way of like sharing that with her. And I think it sort of took her by surprise, but since that call, she's been really supportive of applying and making that investment. So it was a really good thing to have her on the call.
And so we have the breakthrough call, and I say I'm 100% confident, Anthony, that we can help you solve all the problems that we have discussed today. And I want to invite you into the application accelerator and put our green light guarantee behind your application process. And here's the tuition. we want you to join. Was it scary to make the leap to decide to work with us? What fears, doubts, or concerns did you have about paying that non small amount of tuition for our program? I still remember your hesitation. I remember it so clearly. You were, because I remember your mom was very supportive. And I remember saying to you, Anthony, why does it seem like your mom is more on board than you are?
I know. I was really afraid of the cost initially because it was a significant investment, and honestly, at the time, I wasn't 100% aware of all the resources that the Art of Applying had to offer. And it also made the whole process feel like, once I heard the number, I just felt like, oh my gosh, the stakes are so high. And it made me feel like I have my family depending on me to make sure that like I actually make the most out of the program and get the results that I wanted. It was a big jump, but I felt like I spoke with her one-on-one. I remember you gave us time to talk with her one-on-one, and we both decided that even if I didn't get into like my top choices or whatever, that I would still be gaining a lot of skills that I can use for other, like for just in general, like how to write my resume, how to write about myself, like by going or writing these essays. Like the guidance is invaluable. So we just decided to do it, and I just made sure that once I put down the first tuition payment, that I was always like making use of all of the resources that were available to get the best result.
Absolutely. And you absolutely did. How many schools did you end up applying to with the program, and without purchasing anything extra? Like, how many schools did you get done?
Altogether, I believe my final total was 17 or 18. That includes schools and fellowships.
Yes.
I did a separate application to Knight Hennessy and the consortium. That was its own separate application. And then I got I got rejections from Stanford and Harvard, and one other school that escapes me, I think. But I think my final total was 18 programs.
Wow. So you really made the most of the program.
Yes.
That's one of the things that really differentiates the Art of Applying and the Application Accelerator from other companies and other programs or services is we don't charge by the school. I want you all to apply to the right number of schools for your profile to make sure you have lots of negotiation leverage and opportunities to have several great results. So, wow. You might hold the record. A different one of our clients, Jatem, I think she was the record holder before. So you might hold the record now for most programs, or you might be tied. But I know she applied to a lot. Wow. Okay. So you joined the program. You've taken full advantage of the program. What was your favorite part about working with the Art of Applying and being in the Application Accelerator?
Of course, there's my consultant who was very amazing and wound up being a great fit in terms of background and also personality, and was really able to guide me on the schools that I was applying to, how to position my story. But besides that, I really liked how many resources the Art of Applying had. And it seemed like there was a resource for whatever question or concern that I had, from like which supplementary classes I should take. There was a list of all the classes and links to where you can sign up, to like resume and email templates, and even a list of past applicants that I could reach out to. Like, I just liked how everything was there for you to like, once you're in the Application Accelerator, you can really go after any part of your profile that you think needs improvement on your own time. Like, there are just so many resources to make use of, and it was a really holistic process.
Wonderful. I love it. And my next question is, what have you learned about yourself, or how have you grown as a result of going through this process with us?
Yeah. So I feel like I've really grown at learning how to advocate for and market myself. And I think approaching the MBA application process in this type of really holistic way helped me to understand what my strengths and weaknesses are and what my genuine interests are. Because like I said, coming into the process, I didn't know even if I wanted to apply to MBA programs, I was just so directionless. Going through the process with the art of applying really helped me to solidify what my interests are, what my like value proposition is for being in these programs. And that has allowed me to be better able to market myself, whether that be for like interviews in the future or just learning how to write about myself, is I think is a really important skill. And it's made me, I think, a more confident person.
Absolutely. I hear that a lot, is the increase in confidence, not because of just getting the great results, but because of the hard work and persistence and tenacity you have put forth through this process and that it has required of you, and the not giving up. So the results are the natural outcome of that persistence, tenacity, committedness, but just really watching yourself do those things actually helps grow your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So, Anthony, what would you say to someone who is listening to this interview and they're like, okay, this program sounds great. I'm so glad he got such great results. I believe him. I believe this could work for me. But first, I want to get a really strong test score before I reach out for help or before I start the program. What would you say to that person?
Well, so I definitely understand that motivation. And I don't think it's necessarily wrong to want to start off with a strong test score. But I think you really want to start early. You want to sign up with the art of applying early, and you want to start preparing for the test early so that you can give yourself enough time to raise your score if that's something that you actually want to pursue. When I started off, I joined in February. I was actually planning on just focusing on studying for the test for the first 4 months until July, and at which point I would start writing essays. And that occupied a lot of mental space for me that first 4 months. And as a result, I didn't really, I wish I would have started focusing on the other aspects of my profile earlier on so that I would be less stressed with writing my essays and working with my consultant. So if time isn't really on your side, I think the test score should be lower on the list of your priorities. The test score doesn't craft your profile for yourself. Like, you really have to focus on your essays, filling out your application in a very detailed way, and taking additional classes that address gaps if you need to. And I spent 5 months diligently preparing for my test, raising my test score successfully in my practice test, raising my test score. But I had so many technical difficulties at taking the at-home test because of COVID that I just wound up having to use my old test score from 3 years prior in my applications. And that was very disappointing for me because it essentially felt like I wasted a lot of time on something that wound up not benefiting me much at all, honestly. But I made the decision to stop even thinking about the GRE and just go all in on the essays. And it wound up working out for me. So I think my piece of advice was test score is important, but focus more on what you can bring to the program and conveying that. And, if you want to raise your test score, that's good. That's fine too, but make sure that it's not your number one priority.
I love that. And so now that you've achieved these great results, what will change, improve, or open up in your life or career now that you're going to go to Wharton with an $80,000 scholarship, plus your other fellowship, the Foreign Language and Area Studies scholarship, with the stipend? What? Now that all that's happening, you're going to get your MBA from Wharton and then your master's from the Lauder program. Wow. What does this mean for your life and your career?
Yeah, it's honestly, I haven't even fully comprehended what world this opens up for me, but I know that I'll really have the network to pursue whatever I'm actually interested in after these results. Not just because of the Wharton name, but because also of the scholarships. They've just allowed me so much more flexibility to consider more career options other than the more typical consulting or banking industries that a lot of MBA students tend to gravitate towards, partially to pay back those huge student loans. So I'm very grateful to have less of that type of burden. And because of that, like, I'm really looking forward to doing more mission-based work that better aligns with my personal values and interests after completing the program.
Beautiful. I am so happy for you. The world is your oyster and you can do anything. And just, you're going to have that education, that credibility, those credentials, that network. It's going to be amazing. And when you first signed up, you said that you were going to tell certain people when you got your great news. So I am actually going to look up who you said you would tell. You said that you would share your good news with mom, aunt, dad, and your best friend. What happened when you told each of them, and how did you celebrate?
I was very shocked because I got the call the morning of the decisions came out, but I wanted to wait until the actual admissions letters got posted to the portal before I told anybody, because I almost didn't believe it was real. And
Wow.
I got the letter, and I FaceTimed my mom, and she was at work, and I actually did a group FaceTime call with everybody, and everybody was just so happy, because like just a couple days before I was talking about, like, I got another wait list and I was very disappointed, and this was like my top choice program, and they were like just so happy, and they haven't stopped talking about it since December. So yeah, I'm very excited. My family's excited, and this is definitely like a new beginning, a new chapter.
Oh, that's so wonderful. So, Anthony, you are still our client for another week or so. And then I believe have you filled out your exit survey?
Yes.
Okay, so then you actually get the bonus and you get to stick around for a whole nother month. What's next for you in your application process? What will we be helping you with?
Honestly, I think everything, I'm very fortunate to be pretty much decided at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I might have my resume looked over by one of the resume consultants one more time, because that was super helpful. That was, I think, the first thing I worked on when I joined the replying my resume. Mm-hmm. And I want to update it with my new school information. And yeah, I besides that, I think my time here has been put to good use, and yeah, I'm happy to not really have too much left.
Yeah, that's right. I'm so happy if you can get back to your hobbies and your friendships and your life.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Anything else you want to share before we close out?
No, I think this was everything that I wanted to say. I guess like a final message is, like, don't put off investing in yourself, whether it be time or money. You really won't go wrong with investing in yourself.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing your story, Anthony. I'm so proud of you. I am thrilled. Our conversation has been the highlight and the end of my workday.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you.